Hey, Washington, we're going to try something new today. I've got a call to action video for you. I've got 4 bills that you need to take action on right away, no later than Saturday morning, February 22nd, before 8 a.m. Hey guys, I'm Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of America and Conservative Ladies of Washington, and we're going to try something new today. We put out a call to action every week with a list of bills for people to sign in on to register their position for the legislative record. We do this through our Substack and social media, and I thought today I would try doing a video and see how you guys like this. So we're getting to the midway point of the session, which means that bills need to clear their chamber of origin here in the next week or two. So what happens at this point in session is the fiscal committees in the House, it's the Appropriations Committee, and in the Senate, it's the Ways and Means Committee. These committees will actually have big, long Saturday public hearings where they hear dozens of bills. The meetings go all day from like 9 to 5 o'clock, sometimes even later into the evening. So this Saturday, the Appropriations Committee is scheduled for a hearing, as is the Ways and Means, but they haven't published their bills yet. So what I'm going to tell you about real quick today is 4 bills that have a hearing in the House Appropriations Committee on Saturday. These bills are having a public hearing, which means you can sign up to testify virtually over Zoom, or you could go to Olympia and testify in person, or you can just take our 30-second call to action on each of these bills, sign in opposed to each of these bills to register your position for the legislative record. Now, I know in Washington, people are always saying, well, what's the point? The Democrats are going to do what the Democrats are going to do anyway. And while that is true, you have an opportunity to make your voice heard. So please do not stay silent when you can speak up. Secondly, I often hear from people, nothing's going to change in Washington until we fix the voting. All right. 3 of these 4 bills have to do with elections. So let's dig in. The 4 bills we have up on Saturday is House Bill 1448, which is a ranked choice voting bill. It would implement ranked choice voting in Washington state. Second one is House Bill 1710. This would create covered jurisdictions based on past voting discrimination and disparities in voting and elections. Thirdly, we have House Bill 1750. This amends Washington State's Voting Rights Act, which was passed in 2018, and they have amended it once, I believe, since then. This would address supposedly voter suppression and vote dilution. Then the fourth one we have is House Bill 1125. This is called the Judicial Discretion Act, and it allows judges to reduce sentences. Now, a lot of people in Washington state have been covering House Bill 1125. It's not typically in our scope of focus, but it is a big, bad bill. So I wanted to make sure that I included it in today's call to action. Let's take a more in-depth look real quick at each of these 4 bills. First up, let's take a look at House Bill 1448, the ranked choice voting bill. This bill has 3 big problems. First of all, it's super complex and there's a lot of potential for voter confusion. The introduction of ranked choice voting, also often seen as RCV, with methods like instant runoff voting and single transferable vote, could easily confuse voters, particularly those less familiar with the electoral process, possibly disenfranchising them and undermining the principle of equal protection and clear voter intent in elections. Really could confuse the very people that Washington Democrats claim to want to be helping the discrimination and the disparities. So this would further that. There's a lot of inconsistency and local autonomy. So granting local jurisdictions and county auditors significant discretion to adopt and implement ranked choice voting could lead to inconsistent electoral processes across Washington state, which could erode uniformity, fairness, and trust in the election system, which is already very eroded. There's also the financial and administrative burden. This is going to cost a lot of money for the local voting jurisdictions to implement this and administrate this, which is obviously a cost that gets passed on to you, the taxpayer. Alaska has ranked choice voting. They're trying to get rid of it. Ranked choice voting was recently defeated in Idaho under Proposition 1. This is not something that you want to come to Washington. This would make Washington elections even worse than they already are. Now you can pause the video and go down to the description and click on the link to sign in for this bill, or you can just do them all at the very end. Next up, we have got House Bill 1710. House Bill 1710 would designate certain political subdivisions as covered jurisdictions based on past voting discrimination and disparities. It would give the Attorney General and the courts, basically, it would give them pre-approval before these local jurisdictions could make any changes. This bill could and likely would lead to increased government oversight and intervention in your local elections process. The bill also requires pre-approval for covered practices or changes to election methods, district boundaries, voting materials, that sort of thing. The Attorney General would be approving these processes, which would create another time constriction and a cost element as well. I think many of us would worry that this legislation is focused on special groups of people when our Constitution, the Washington State Constitution and the United States Constitution both say that we are to be treated equal under the law. And this is for special classes, special protections for special people. So this is another one that you want to sign in con, opposed to this bill. You can pause the video, go down to the link in the description, or just hit them all up at the end. Our third bill is House Bill 1750. This is the bill that seeks to amend Washington State's Voting Rights Act, which was created in 2018. So this has huge potential for government overreach in the redistricting authority, which Washington already saw recently with the redistricting of the legislative districts in the state. It would allow political subdivisions to alter electoral systems, such as implementing district-based elections without sufficient checks and balances. This could lead to gerrymandering or other manipulation in certain districts that would favor certain groups over others. There's also an increase of litigation and cost. This act encourages challenges to electoral systems by allowing voters, organizations, and tribes to file lawsuits if they feel like their voting rights are being diluted. This could and likely would result in many legal battles, placing financial burden on the local jurisdictions, which ultimately would fall on you, the taxpayer. So this is another big bad no bill. You don't want this bill. So make sure that you click on the link to sign in con against House Bill 1750. Now our last bill is House Bill 1125. This is called the Judicial Discretion Act. And this is a very bad bill. It's been getting a lot of attention from the Republican side and Republican conservative media sources. So it's not something that we typically cover, but it is a big bad bill. And it also has a hearing on Saturday in the Appropriations Committee. So I wanted to be sure that you guys sign in opposed con to this bill. This bill undermines public safety by allowing judges, a lot of activist judges you have there in Washington, it would allow them to shorten sentences and put them back into society, which could be a risk to public safety. This bill would also likely create inconsistencies with sentencing, as judges would have broad authority to make their decisions based on subjective information if they're going to shorten a sentence for a criminal. It would also likely lead to unequal treatment for offenders. Lastly, and what I think is a very critical piece of this, is that this could really place a burden, an emotional burden, on victims and their families by releasing these people early, by requiring the victims and their families to participate in the legal process if they want to speak out about what a judge may be doing to lighten the sentence of someone who had victimized them or their family member. So this is a really bad bill. It's terrible for public safety, and it would most certainly be used by activist judges. So there you have it. 4 bills that all have a hearing in the House Appropriations Committee on Saturday. Please sign in opposed to all 4 of these bills. All of the links to click and sign in con, it'll take you like less than 5 minutes to do all of these bills. Plus, I've got links to the bill text so that you can go read up on them yourself if you would like to. Please make sure that you share this video with all of your Washington friends and get those sign-in numbers up. Show the House Appropriations Committee that Washington citizens do not want any of these bills. Once again, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have those notifications turned on, because many of our videos will be time sensitive, just like this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for engaging. Be sure to also leave a comment. Let me know if you like this format. I'll see you next time.